What's up, bosses? Welcome to About Her Business, the podcast where we leave all the gossip at the door and get straight down to business. I'm your host, Jonte, and today we have nationally recognized CFO, business financial strategist, best-selling author, professional speaker, and the founder and the CEO of Say Yes to Profits, Dr. Octavia Conner. Now, Dr. Conner specializes in financial and business advising, profit improvement, cash flow acceleration, and tax strategy for consulting firms, CEOs, and service-based businesses. And she's helping us reach seven figures today on what she means business. So, ladies, grab those cups and those notepads, and let's get down to it. Welcome, Dr. Conner.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So, before becoming the founder of Say Yes to Profits, what first sparked your interest in finance, accounting, and helping business grow?
So I originally climbed the corporate ladder. That was my starting point. I started as a bookkeeper, data entry clerk, climbed from there to become a CFO of a multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical company. And in corporate, you do the same thing every single month. Over and over again. And so I got to the point where I was like, there is more to this. Like I love accounting, but I don't want to do the same thing. And so at that same time, my sister was expanding her childcare center and she needed someone to help her with her books. And I started working with her and I would give her I didn't know it was strategies. I would just look at her numbers and be like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. So on and so forth. She would do it and things would change in a great way. And I was like, I'm onto something here. And I always say that's when I was bit by the entrepreneur bug. And so I started to attend networking events in my local area, sign new clients. And I was like, this is for me. And I proceeded to pray and ask God if, this is really for me. And he said yes. And I went for it.
Absolutely. And again, congratulations because you are a nationally recognized CFO. And if you don't know what a CFO is, it's a chief financial officer. That's the big dogs that literally hold those titles in these major corporations. They literally control and balance budgets for these major companies and government agencies. So again, I just want to congratulate you on that because that is not something that's very easy to do, and you've done it nationally.
Thank you so much. I absolutely love, when I say love what I do. I've been doing this for 23 years and I'm here to stay.
Absolutely. So again, you have spent years as a corporate CFO before becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes.
What lessons from the corporate world still shape how you lead your business today?
Operating integrity and understanding. So, what do I mean? So, a lot of times at this juncture, I deal with small business owners, typically those that are high six, seven, and eight figures, right? And a lot of times we have to be very transparent in explaining the numbers to them in a way that they'll understand it and see that, hey, yes, you're earning seven figures. Yes, you're earning eight figures, but your cash flow and your profits, they're not where they need to be. And I just have to be honest with you on why that is. Maybe as a CEO, you lack financial discipline. So as your CFO, it's my responsibility to shine a light on that, but at the same time, guide you through how to now implement the financial discipline. And so I learned from corporate that sometimes you have to give the ugly information in a beautiful way and then help the person move past that to a better stage. And that takes heart, that takes patience, that takes empathy, that takes understanding that money is a sensitive subject, but it also requires you to be truthful at the same time. So I learned that from corporate America.
Absolutely. And, that's the thing about being an entrepreneurship. Sometimes you don't want to hear the hard stuff. You just want it to all be sunshine and rainbows. And, when you hiring a CFO is literally going to make sure that you're aligning with your finances and making sure that those budgets are balancing because everybody have to file taxes and things like that. So that is literally their job to get you financially disciplined because I'm here to tell you there's a lot of entrepreneurs and sometimes even myself that needs that financial discipline out here because sometimes we just like to overspend for some reason. So like you brought up a great point there, Dr. Conner. Now, can you walk us through that the season after leaving corporate America, and what it taught you about resilience as a business owner.
Oh, let me tell you. So, when I left corporate America, because I was a CFO of this multi-million dollar pharmaceutical company and one of the main team members that got them to that point, I naturally thought, yeah, I'm going to build my multi-million dollar business, right? It's going to be easy. I've done it in corporate America. It didn't happen like that in any shape, form, or fashion. I actually went through a chapter of my life I call broke, busted, and disgusted. Now, the next chapter after that is called Breakthrough. However, during the broke, busted, and disgusted stage or chapter, I had to learn how to be a CEO. See, there's a difference between an entrepreneur and someone that just has a hobby and a person that is operating a business like a CEO. In corporate, I was a CFO. I didn't have to run the company. I didn't have to market the company. I didn't have to, do all of those things. But as an entrepreneur going into a CEO, I had to learn how to be that person. And so when I first left corporate America, I had a six-figure job. I had built my custom home from the ground up. I mean, living the life, as they say. Jumped out into the world of entrepreneurship, and within 14 months, I had a negative $152 in my bank account. That custom built home was 1 month away from foreclosure, and that brand new truck, fully loaded, I was hiding it in the garage because I could literally look out the window and see the repo man driving by trying to get my car. And I was like, you're not going to get me today. And I had to go from that stage to a breakthrough. Now, breakthrough taught me resilience. It taught me how to be a CEO. It taught me the money mindset. And in the midst of that, I developed, and I didn't know it at the time, the Say Yes to Profits financial operating system that took us from broke, busted, disgusted to breakthrough. Now, breakthrough, we ended up going about 16 months after the total breakdown. We ended up having a business that at the time was at $400,000 in annual revenue. But the bottom line, I had $100,000 consistently, even though I was just earning 400,000, right? Most times when you have that type of a bottom line and a bank balance, you're $1 million business owner. I wasn't $1 million business owner. And my home never went into foreclosure. We're literally a couple of years from paying it off, maybe like 5 now. Car never got repoed. Bank account looking beautiful, right? But it taught me resilience, and it taught me how to be a business owner going from broke, busted, and disgusted to breakthrough. And that's what I now help my clients do in their business.
And thank you for sharing your story with us, because a lot of people don't like to talk about the ugly parts of where they went through that broke, disgusted phase, and just like to talk about the breakthrough aspects of it. And everybody like, well, how did you get to that breakthrough? What did you go through? And when you coming from six figures to now being that CEO versus that CFO, it literally changes the entire game and trajectory of how you operate. So again, Dr. Conner, thank you for opening up and sharing with our audience on that one. I truly do appreciate that, because a lot of people try to just show the good parts when it comes to entrepreneurship, but that's just really the reality that a lot of people go through.
Yeah, and I never mind sharing that because there was purpose in that struggle, right? And now I can relate to a business owner when they're like, I love what I do. I'm passionate about this, but the numbers are not numbering, as they say. Like the business is not businessing. Not, now I can say, I know where you are right now. Now let me show you how to get to the next place, the next stage, the next level, because I've been there, right? And I want to be different. It like online, as you mentioned, everybody is sharing the glory, the amazing, the success. I want to be the person that shows you, yes, this is where we are right now, but baby, we ain't always been here. Like we had the struggle, and now we went from the struggle to here. So I'm the perfect person to show you how to do the same thing.
Absolutely. And that is a great point to bring up, because everybody know I'm literally all about turning your pain into purpose and helping others excel so they don't have to go through those same struggles. So again, Dr. Conner, thank you for bringing that up, because that's literally what we about on About Her Business, learning from our own mistakes and giving out those tips to help other people as well. Now, looking back, what were some of the biggest financial mistakes or misconceptions you see entrepreneurs making that you once made yourself?
I would say one would be starting with the money mindset. A lot of times we have a mindset that while we want whatever the millions are, our mindset is stuck in lack because of things that we've been through, things that we've experienced from our childhood. And so I think the first mistake is not fixing your mindset, your money mindset, your CEO mindset. I talk a lot about the CEO financial identity. And oftentimes, our identity as CEOs, as entrepreneurs, as business owners is tied to the bank balance. And so, like, when the balance is low, we doubt ourselves, we doubt everything we do, our confidence goes down, we feel like we're not enough or whatever. And then when the balance is high, we're confident in that moment. But how about you be so grounded in your CEO identity that no matter what your bank balance may be, you are a success, you are powerful, you are strong, you are enough. And then all is, I know how to make the money. So even though the bank balance is low, I can go out there and get it. How about we do that? So I think that's like the first mistake. I would say the second mistake would be not having our finances in order, business and personal, not having the money in order, having the clarity and the control around every dollar. I tell my clients all the time, if you don't control your dollar and give every dollar purpose and direction, it's going to control you. And often you're going to overspend, you're going to undercharge, and you're going to continue to connect your identity to that dollar instead of knowing that that's just a tool, that's just a resource, and the source can give you more if you operate the way you're supposed to operate.
You have to believe in your mission. You have to believe in why you started the business, because so once again, social media have you thinking that, you start a business, you'll be a millionaire by Friday, but that's just really not the reality for a lot of people out here. And I love to use Beyonce. She's now known as a billionaire, but look at how long it took Beyonce to get there. It was consistency and standing firm in who she knew she was. And so that's literally what you have to be out here as an entrepreneur. I love to use her as the example because everybody knows she's had her ups and downs and she stayed firm in it, and she's highly successful out here. So I'm letting you know now, if you are a person that literally starts to doubt yourself because that money ain't flowing in the way you want to, you'll easily give up on your purpose. And the next thing you know, somebody else will be out here doing it for you. Now, let's get into talking about say yes to the profits. Say yes to profits. How did you identify the gap you wanted to fill for women entrepreneurs?
So when I went through Broke, Busted, and Disgusted, and we ended up transitioning to Breakthrough, right? I literally was walking around my office, same office I'm in right now, and I was like, what do I want my clients to experience? What do I want my clients to experience? Now, mind you, we were just over the successful hump. And I was like, man, I want them to experience what I went through. I want them to really understand that, while finances is a sensitive subject, you're in control of it. Like you're the author of your destination. I'm walking around my office. I kept saying to myself, what do I want my clients to do? What do I want my clients to say? What do I want my clients to say? And I was like, I want my clients to say yes to profits. And I sat there for a moment. I was like, I want my clients to say yes to profit. And I kept saying it. I'm like, I can't name my company that. Because technically most accounting firms is like this and that associates, and like they're named that,
Mhm.
right? And I was like, I want my clients to say yes to profits. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call it that. And then I felt like God was like, yeah, call it that. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna call it that. And so I started calling the company Say Yes to Profits. And the whole goal was to help clients do just that. Say yes to profits, say yes to cash flow, and legally and ethically say yes to zero taxes. And so those are the brands, and the top company is Say Yes to Profits. And I was like, that's what I want my clients to do. And that's what I'm gonna teach them. specifically those that look like me, because those that look like me, they're at the time, this was back in 2016 when the breakthrough happened, right? Those that look like me, there wasn't a lot of financial literacy and education out there, and that's what I needed to get to the breakthrough. And I was like, if that's what I needed and it was tough for me to find it, I know those that look like me are experiencing the same thing. So those are the people that I'm going to target. Now, we work with everyone, but those are the people that I am targeting, and those are the people that I want them to scream, say yes to profits. And what that means is smiling when you log into your bank account, because money is no longer an issue for your business, for your life, for everything.
I am rooted in my faith, and I believe God send you those signals. And in the beginning, it sounds like, say what? And then next thing you know, he's going, that's what I want you to do. You better do it. And then when you step into it, because you're so obedient, it just prospers. And I absolutely love the name, because who don't want to say yes to profits?
Right. And honestly, people told me when I shared it with others, people told me, "No, don't do that. That's this, that's that." And I was like, "Well, that's the perfect thing I'm supposed to do, because people are telling me no." So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then God told me to do it, and yeah, I'm doing it.
There you go. There you go. Many business owners out here focus heavily on the money. So let's talk about, at what point did you realize that revenue and profitability are two very different conversations?
When I realized that we were like $300,000-$400,000 in annual revenue, but we had $100,000 in the account consistently. And when I started to reflect on that, the main thing that I focused on at the time was I want to keep more money. So before, when we were going through Broke, Busted, and Disgusted, it was I want to bring more money in. I want to earn as much as I can. I want to earn as much as I can. But when I shifted, it was for every dollar that comes in, I want to keep 40% of that for every single dollar. And so when I looked and I was like, hearing like I'm a $1 million business owner. And the crazy thing is I started to sign clients that were seven figures and teetering higher, and they had no money in the bank account, but they were bringing in set literally 80, 90,000, 60 to 90,000 every single month in revenue, but they were not keeping it in their business. It was coming in and it was going out like just that quick. And I started to think like I want to keep more of it. And I started to keep more of it. And then I would see these $1 million business owners, but then their bank account, it wasn't even close to what my bank account was. And I was like, that's the difference. You can't just bring it in. You have to keep it in, right? You got to do both. You can't just bring it in. And I was like, okay, this is the difference between revenue and profit. And this is exactly what I want to focus on. And then it all tied into the say yes to profits as the name.
Oh wow! And I just can't imagine a person that's bringing in anywhere from 60 to $100,000 a month not having anything in their bank account. But that's really the reality, and it's a lot of people out here that are like that. And so, I absolutely love your approach to everything, because you have to find a way to keep that money in that's flowing in out, because that's what a lot of people do. Oh, I'm bringing in this much money, so I need to go and spend this much more money to bring in even more money, and they thinking that they doubling it by flipping it, and sometimes that flip goes against them. So thank you for explaining and breaking that down to our audience on the difference between revenue and profitability, because a lot of people get those two things confused a lot out here these days.
Yeah, yeah, they really do. And you would be surprised, but a lot of times, as you just mentioned, the money will come in and now it's like, oh, I need to buy this, I need to buy that, I need to hire this person, I need to do this. And then before you know it, even though you earned that excess amount of money, it all went out. And now you're stuck on this financial roller coaster of unpredictability and having to do the same thing, or the hamster wheel, and having to do the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely. And again, you often talk about building financially structured businesses. So, what are the foundational systems every entrepreneur should have in place before trying to scale?
So, first, you need an accurate, reliable, timely, and up to date accounting system. This will allow you to know where you stand financially by having your records up to date, right? And this is not something a lot of business owners think this is something you have to do yourself. You honestly don't. You can hire someone that will do it for you, and then you continue to focus on growing the business. So that would be the first. The next would be, I call it a pricing for profit structure, because a lot of times businesses are not priced correctly. And so that's one of the ways that money is going out even before it comes in, because if you are undercharging, then when you earn a new client, or you secure a new sale or something like that, even though the money has came in, if you're not including the cost and the profit margin in your price, then you're still not technically earning enough. So you need a pricing for profits structure, as well as that accounting system. And then the last one would be a wealth structure. Well, and it's not the last one because you need a tax structure too, but the wealth structure is, how do you go from earning revenue to now building generational wealth, to now leaving a legacy, to now ensuring that the money that you're earning is multiplied, right? You want your dollars to multiply over and over again. And there's some easy and effective ways to do that. And then finally, a tax structure. And the tax structure is centered around, now that I've earned the money, how do I legally and ethically say yes to zero taxes, or get as close to that as possible? So then you need that tax structure and that tax plan in place to show you how to be in that category. Because the thing is, a lot of small businesses are earning six, seven, eight figures, and then they're paying six figures to the IRS, when there are legal and ethical ways. I wrote a whole book about it, to where you can pay the smallest amount possible, because you have like the Amazon and the Netflix that are earning billions, but literally paying zero in taxes. And y'all could Google this to find this out, right? But then the small business owner overpay the IRS. So you don't have to do that. So you need that tax structure in place as well.
Absolutely. And once you get that foundation in place, let's talk about that for a second, Dr. Conner.
Yes.
What separates a business that consistently generates profit from one that is constantly struggling with cash flow?
So some things that separated would be a lack of a cash flow management system. Oftentimes, most businesses are not looking forward. They're reactive. So they're reacting to the unwanted financial surprises. They're reacting to the deposit that came in. They're reacting to the money that went out, when in actuality, you need to be proactive, right? And so what does that look like? That looks like creating a forecast for your future. So you should literally be able to sit here today and know exactly how much is coming in and going out of your business the next month, the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks, right? And so that is where you create a cash flow forecast, where you're looking in the future. What's the benefit of that? The benefit is that, let's say you sit here today and you see that 7 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, you're going to have a cash shortage. Well, you can do something today to prevent that. But if you're not forecasting and looking ahead, that next several weeks will come up, and now you have that cash shortage because you didn't look at it proactively and do something about it. So that's the biggest thing that I see a lot of businesses are lacking. They don't forecast their future, they don't project their future, and then the future just happens to them the day of, and now they're trying to figure out how to get out of that struggling stage, when honestly you could have prevented that from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Oh wow. And y'all, I hope y'all taking notes because she dropping some real gems out there for y'all. And one of the things that you did mention in that conversation was going from that cash flow chaos to a cash flow confidence. So let's get into talking about that for a second. What are some of the warning signs that a CEO is growing too fast without the financial infrastructure to support it?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, some of the warning signs is that every time they sign a new client, if it's a service-based business, those are primarily the type of clients that we deal with, service-based and consulting firms. If they sign a new client, and as soon as they sign a new client, they have to hire a team member. That means that you're growing top line, but your infrastructure is not together, right? Because every time you sign someone, and that also goes back to money coming in and then it goes out really quick. Because every time you sign someone, you hire a new person, right? So that's the warning sign. Another warning sign is, if I sit here today and I ask you, what were your profit margins for that service line? How much money did you bring in last month? How much money did you keep last month? What was your tax bill last year and why? And you can't can't answer any of those questions, then you're growing too fast without financial clarity, right? Another one would be, let's say you want to grow your business, but you don't know the service or the type of client you should actually attract to bring in more revenue and to allow you to keep more revenue, then you may be growing too fast, but you're attracting the wrong people. So those are some warning signs that you have to get ahead of and figure out before you actually, grow your company. And another one, always go back to taxes. If you grew, but then all of a sudden out of the blue, you have this huge tax bill that make you want to cry. Oh yeah, you grew too fast and you didn't put the tax structure in place to eliminate that upcoming tax bill.
Absolutely. And we can sit and we can make a whole nother episode on talking about taxes and entrepreneurship. But for the sake of today's episode, I'm gonna spare y'all on that one because that's a whole different conversation that a lot of entrepreneurs do struggle with. And I've seen businesses grow, from, making a little bit of money to making a lot of money, especially during the COVID time where
Mm-hmm.
all the businesses were up and coming and, they were gaining in money and bringing in money. And then tax season came and they just went, oh my God, now. And so that's some great advice that you just gave out there.
Yeah, I wrote a whole book about it. So yes.
Exactly. And she's a best-selling author too, y'all. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. So Dr. Conner, stay tuned for talking about that because I want to get into that book as well. Now, as businesses begin to reach their 6 and 7 figures, because you have worked with these types of businesses, what financial habits become non-negotiable for sustainable growth and long-term wealth creation?
Oh, that's really good. One would be saving. You definitely want to place aside a certain amount of every dollar that you earn. I like to get my clients to the point where they have six figures saved, but definitely at a minimum, you want to save 3 months of operating capital and you want to do that with every dollar. So remember before I said give every dollar purpose, tell every dollar what to do. And remember before I mentioned when I started to go through the breakthrough stage, I had to realize, okay, I want to save a certain amount of every dollar, right? So that's a habit that a lot of business owners don't think about. So as soon as the money comes in, you want to put aside your profit. So that's going to be the amount that you save for cash reserve, as well as a portion for taxes. So that's a habit. Another habit would be looking at your money every single week. So I am a firm believer in financial Fridays. So every Friday, no matter if I am in Atlanta or Africa, I'm going to spend some time looking at my money in my personal life as well as my business. The purpose of that is to always face it, whether it is pretty, whether it is ugly, whether it is in the middle. I am going to face it so that I can plan ahead, which leads to the third habit, not planning for the future, right? So we talked about cash flow forecasting. So you want to do that every single week that you look at your money. Now, that could be on Financial Fridays or Money Making Mondays or Terrific Dollar Tuesdays, like whatever day you're going to sit down for at least 30 minutes and look at your money and face it, then at that same time you want to plan for the future. So I would say those would be the top 3 habits that every business owner should implement that should be non-negotiable.
Absolutely. And I definitely love that you said checking it every single week and you can pick whatever day you want to because she gave you some names to go with them that I absolutely love. And I think you ought to trademark that one that you came up with for Tuesday because I haven't heard that one. So that need to be on a cup somewhere out here or a t-shirt because a lot of people go, well, I check it every 6 months and see what's going on. But honestly, you real deal need to be checking it every week, every single week, just to make sure that you are making the right financial decisions. Now, I know there's some people out here and they've heard us talk about it throughout today's episode, which is taxes. And they say, so you ain't going to talk about taxes? Yes, of course I'm going to talk about taxes. So what are some legal and strategic ways high earning businesses owner can better position themselves financially without feeling overwhelmed?
So one of the things is to understand your business entity. A lot of business owners start as a LLC, which is a limited liability company. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's the simple sometimes the best way to start. But once you really start making money, you want to consider shifting to becoming an S corporation. Now, an S corporation is a tax election. It is not an entity. So the entity can be an LLC tax as an S corp. You want to think about doing that. Now, anytime I give this strategy, I always say speak with your accountant, because once you become an S corp, there are rules and regulations that you have to abide by with the IRS. And if you don't, they'll take it and you won't get it back for 5 years. But when you do become an S corp, you do it correctly, you operate in compliance, then you can save tremendously on taxes. It opens you up to additional tax strategies that will place you closer and closer to the ability to say yes to zero taxes. So I would say start with understanding your entity structure, understanding when you need to change your entity structure, and then start by thinking about tax planning, because that will allow you to know the strategies to put in place and how to put them in place specifically for your business, so that you, again, stay in compliance. Because I tell my clients, we don't play with the IRS, they don't play with us, but then also using what they're giving you to your advantage.
Absolutely. And she just gave y'all a great tip on how to keep IRS off of you, because I think that's what every entrepreneur out here is afraid of, the IRS coming after them and completely just wiping out their business. So if you thinking about going from a LLC to S corporation, she just gave you a very, very, very great tip there, which is following and staying in compliance with the IRS, because a lot of people out here, want to shift but don't necessarily know how and know what to do. So let's get into talking about your book for a second. What is the title of the book, and what originally made you want to actually write the book?
So I actually have two books. I'm on my way to writing a third. So this book is Say Yes to Zero Taxes. And the purpose of this book was to create a workbook on how businesses can, again, say yes to zero taxes. I have about 150 tax strategies in here. I made it like a workbook so business owners can literally sit down and go through it and work out how to implement the strategies in their business. My very first book was called Say Yes to Profits, and it was really a journey into the from the broke, busted, disgusted to breakthrough. So I talked about, walk the readers through how I went from that first chapter to the next chapter. Well, how I left corporate America, broke, busted, disgusted, breakthrough, and then the things that I did, the mindset, the strategies, the structure that I put in place. And so that book was written in 2016, right after the breakthrough. And then I have another one coming up that I'm writing right now with the goal of having it out by the end of the year.
Absolutely. And she is a best-selling author. And I do want to ask you, Dr. Conner, where can we get these books?
So, Say Yes to Profits is available on Amazon. That's the name of the very first book from 2016. It is available Kindle and a softback copy right directly from Amazon. Say Yes to Zero Taxes. If you go to my website, then you'll be able to purchase the workbook from my website.
Absolutely. And we're going to make sure that we get all that information down at the end of today's episode, because those are two great books that I think every entrepreneur out there should have, especially when we're talking about finances, because a lot of people are scared of finances and how they work. So again, if you guys need their help, head over to Amazon, head over to Dr. Conner's website and get your hands on those books. Now, again, you work with so many ambitious women out here who are building wealth, not just businesses. How do you help clients shift from thinking about income to thinking about legacy and generational wealth, as you were speaking on earlier?
So one of the things I do when a client very first come on board, right, we do a 13-point assessment. Even before that, during the discovery call, when we are trying to determine if we are a best fit for working with each other, I like to do something called a gap analysis. And this is where we get clear on the current reality in 5 different categories and on the desired reality in those same categories. And then the gap is the middle part, right? So we have a conversation on, okay, so here's the gap. Here's your monthly revenue. Here's what you would like it to be. Here's how you live and here's how you like to live, right? Here's your taxes. Here's how you would like to be, right? And we go down those 5 categories. That gets the person to thinking about, okay, here's the gap and here's where I am and here's where I want to be. And then I ask them questions to help them analyze that. Okay. What do you see? What what concerns you? Where do you want to be in a year from now? And where do you want to be 5, 10 years from now? And that helps them think long term. And once we get that vision, right? Now it's just a matter of putting the numbers in place. And I tell people all the time, business is a numbers game. And so if we know that, for example, one of my ultimate goals is to build a company that is earning $5 million and then a company that is earning $10 million. And then I keep telling my family, I want to buy this like 10, 20 acre lot and build a family compound where everybody have a house. Okay. Now that I know that vision, how much is it going to cost? What do I need? What do I need to earn? What do I need to bring home? So on and so forth. So what do I need to bring home to maintain a $5 million business? What do I need to bring home to maintain a $10 million business? Again, business is a numbers game. So once we know the vision, once we know the ultimate mission, now let's just tie the numbers to it. And so if we're tying the numbers to it, that means you got to make your money multiply. So now let's figure out how to multiply your dollars and not just focus on what you're bringing in, but focus on what you're keeping, because what you're keeping is what's going to take you to that next level, what's going to build that family compound or whatever the case may be. That's what's going to take you there. So I just tied the numbers to the ultimate vision.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up vision, because you do, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to get very clear on that vision. Because if you keep, down yourself or keep switching it up on yourself, you're never going to really actually get to that level of that vision that you actually have. And so you really do have to get very, 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 very clear on that vision, because that's literally where your success lies. And, you are, again, a best-selling author, a speaker, a nationally recognized CFO, and a CEO. How have you monetized your levels of expertise across multiple platforms while still staying aligned to your true mission?
To say I am on every platform, I think. I love to teach. At the heart of everything, I wanted to be a teacher growing up, but I didn't want to deal with other people's kids. And so inside of my company, that's what I do. I teach first. So every single month, we do 2 master classes, live and free, for all entrepreneurs across the United States. They can join, and I teach. And me teaching online, I speak as many places as I can throughout the United States. And so that has allowed me to expand the brand. And I've even received recently some opportunities to do some things globally, still kind of going back and forth on if I'm going to take those opportunities or not. But teaching has been the entry point to a lot of the brand recognition that we've received over the last couple of years.
Wow. And congratulations on everything that you have going on. And of course, I'm going to make sure I get all her information at the end of today's episode. Now, we've come sadly to the end of today's episode, and we always leave with a legacy. And I give you a couple of minutes to think about this, Dr. Conner. When people look back at your work decades from now, what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I would love for people to say she really made an impact on women, but specifically on women of color. She really made an impact in their lives with their finances on women of color. Yeah.
And I think you're going to leave that behind, Dr. Conner, because there's not a lot of people out here like you. And again, I am truly honored to have sat down with you today. And sadly, you guys, we have come to the end of today's episode. Please let us know again how we can sign up for your services. Let us know again where we can find the books. Let us know about your speaking engagements that's coming up. Let us know your socials. Let us know all the details.
Yes. So our main website is sayyes2profits.com. Once there, you'll see the tabs for the books, the masterclass, the podcast. Please make sure you tune into that. And then you can find me on Instagram at Octavia Conner CFO, and that's Conner with an ER, as well as on YouTube. The company website, sayyes2profits.com. Please join our upcoming virtual masterclass as well.
Any final words for today's audience before we adjourn today's meeting, Dr. Conner?
I would say thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed being on your podcast. I look forward to sharing it everywhere, and make sure as you all are building businesses that you say yes to profits.
Absolutely. And thank you again for coming in and sharing your insights, Dr. Conner. And with that, ladies, today's meeting is now adjourned. Nationally recognized CFO, business financial strategist, best-selling author, professional speaker, and the founder and CEO of Say Yes to Profits, Dr. Octavia Conner, for coming on and sharing her insights. And you be sure to subscribe to About Her Business wherever you receive podcasts so you never miss whenever we upload. Also, leave me some comments down in that comment section on which industry you think I should interview next. Until next time, keep your goals tight, that circle tighter, and that bank account growing.